Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing. Yo, what's up? Welcome back to Vencabot. Behind the scenes action. My name is David, guys. It's quiet. It's 6 in the morning, guys. It's 6 in the morning on Thursday. I still haven't slept since Wednesday's stream. And that's because, as you guys know, I'm up all night, every night, working on the stream behind the scenes. I just finished wrapping up some YouTube stuff, preparing some videos to get published on YouTube. I knocked out a whole bunch of clips from the Twitch stream to put them on the break screen. It involves timing them and converting them to 30 frames per second for performance reasons and subtitling them all. That's a lot of fun. Entering them into my little JSON file that I use for my software that shows the viewer clip theater. And now it's 6 in the morning. And that means that I'm ready to start picking a public domain movie for Pizza in a Movie. This is something I've done, of course, by now more than 10 times, I think. It's more involved than you would think. You know, on Pizza in a Movie, we always have a lot of fun. We make jokes. We enjoy some actually surprisingly good films sometimes. And that doesn't just happen. You know, like a lot of things in the stream, there's a lot of preparation that goes on that not a lot of people see. And normally that would be none of your guys' business, right? That's my job as a host to, kind of be sneaking around behind the scenes every night and getting things set up so that when stream comes on, I can be all, oh, let's fucking go. And we're doing some awesome stuff. But, the reason I want to share this in particular is because I think it's kind of interesting personally, right? It kind of touches on something that's personal to me. I say it at the end of every stream basically, right? Which is that although the stream, is 40 hours in front of the camera, and then behind the scenes it's countless hours of work every night behind the scenes to make sure things are working, and technically speaking, to make sure we have the right content, make sure things are set up, that sort of thing. It's a lot, but it's something that I take a lot of pride in, and that's kind of what I wanted to record this video to demonstrate, right? It's something that I think is really cool. I think that not a lot of people out there in the professional world are able to, even with the small income that I have through the stream, the fact that I get to do things like look through a bunch of old movies and try to find the right one is something I think is really cool. I want to kind of bring you guys along for the ride. I've done a little bit of prep work here because I want to have you guys experience the whole tedium of it. Suffice to say, I've already been at work here doing this for a couple hours now. But I'm going to kind of walk through the process, right? So the first thing I'll oftentimes do is I'll try to find posters for old public domain films. And I have a variety of websites saved that I use to find posters. But a good resource, for instance, is even just Google. I just punch in like public. Oh, I have no keyboard. Oh, no, I see. I have this in here. Public domain movies. Right. Just punch that in there, and we see Google has a bunch of posters for these old films, which is awesome. Right, makes life a lot easier. So I'll go through and I'll pick a few out from whatever posters I have here. A little type of horrors. Maybe one day. Reefer Madness, that's whatever. Giant Leeches. Okay, that sounds like it could be funny. Bucket of Blood, Last Woman on Earth, Vampire, Atom Age Vampire. That sounds really corny. Maybe too corny. All right, so Scarlet Street, that movie rocked. We already saw that one. DOA, the movie was kind of iffy. We saw that one too. Bowery at Midnight. I've been putting this one off for a long time. I always forget what it's about, though. I have to refresh my memory. It's one of these ones I always look at every week, and I go, let's not do that one this week. A Feral to Arms. That one looks... Amos and Andy, that one looks hella racist. Nice. What else we got here? The Edison Kinetogram Frankenstein. That sounds cool. The Red House, that movie rocked. The Gorilla looks like a comedy film. Okay, what else here? Strange Love of Martha Ivers. Okay, sounds interesting. Strange Love. Kind of jumps out at you right away. Some Three Stooges. Maniac. Okay, Abbott and Costello. Maybe one day. Angel and the Bad Man. Okay. John Wayne in public domain? Public domain John Wayne? Okay, let's get that one opened up. What else we got here? Blood on the Sun, Gulliver's Travels, Conspiracy 1930. That's a really old one, even by public domain standards. So that could be fun to watch. Let's open that up. Okay, so these are all just YouTube, these are all just Google searches for these films. Right, which is useful, I suppose. But what I'm going to do is to make sure these films are even in the public domain, I'm going to compare them to the Wikipedia public domain list. right? So public domain movies. Now, I posted on Discord that I've got a lot of different resources I use to verify things that are in the public domain. And not only do you have to verify them, but because public domain is kind of a gray area in the US and around the world, I like to have multiple sources that not only cite that it is public domain, but list the reasons, hopefully, of why they believe it to be public domain. Because some of these things, they have really bad reasons. Like, oh, it was uploaded on YouTube, so it's public domain. Or, oh, it was on the Internet Archive, so it's public domain. Well, no, that doesn't necessarily mean that, right? I don't want to get in trouble. So I want public domain films, right? Why is it showing as... I can't find what I want here. Can I find what I want here? Here we go. List of films in the public domain in the U.S. All right, cool. All right, so I explained, what can make a film public domain, which is nice to know. I've read this 100 times already. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Lack of renewal, missing or flawed copyright notice. Kind of interesting. So basically, back in the day before, Hollywood was as big as it is now, there wasn't really a good understanding of how films were copyrighted. And for a while there, it was required that your films actually list a copyright mark and a date and who it's copyrighted to. Right? And if they forgot one of those things in their movie, well, now it's public domain. Now you don't own it anymore. G fucking G. So that's kind of interesting. There's a lot of reasons why things go public domain. One, of course, is that they're so old. They literally are in the public domain. But for most films, they're not there yet. Anything after 24, right? Is going to become, films in 24 will enter public domain in 2020. Right, so there, as you can imagine, we're talking mostly silent films. Pretty much all these films that we've watched are public domain for some other reason aside from being old. Right, they fucked something up. That's why they're public domain. Anyway, so let's carry on here to our actual list of movies that are understood to be in the public domain because it's a legal gray area. So suffice to say that if somebody wanted to come knocking on Vencabot's door and say, hey, listen, I own the copyright to that film, I would need to make my case as to why it's public domain. And so, again, there is no definitive list, and there are lots of people arguing back and forth about whether this film is or is not public domain. So that's one reason why this takes so long every time we do Pizza in a Movie. I've spent a lot of time researching whether or not the film is, let's say, whether or not I'm comfortable assuming the film is in the public domain, right? Okay, so what do we got here? Angel and the Badman. Let's open up that article and read about that a little bit. We're also looking for Bowery at Midnight, Strange Love and Conspiracy. Okay, so where are we at? Here's Bowery at Midnight. Okay. Read about these. Conspiracy, 1930. Okay, so these are all considered to be in public domain, at least by Wikipedia and Google. And Strange Love. Okay. Let's go down here somewhere to RS. Screaming Skull. I know what that one is already, or I would check that out. It sounds pretty interesting, right? But I happen to know that it's just a really, really corny B movie, even for our standards. The Strange Love of Martha Ivers. Okay, so I can close these Google searches now. We're going to read about these a little bit here on Wikipedia real quick. All right. So Angel and the Badman, it's a 1947 Western film. Okay, starring John Wayne. Awesome. It says right here that in 1975, the film entered public domain in the U.S. because the claimants did not renew its copyright registration in the 28th year after publication. So this is right before, it's a very awkward period in American history where films were only considered copyrighted for 28 years, right? And this is no longer the case. Now it's like 70 years. So these guys did not renew their copyright claim. They fucked up. Their records keepers screwed up, and the film didn't get renewed, and now it's public domain. That's awesome for us, right? So I like how they have a nice little reason there with a citation as well. Legal limbo, American copyright makes orphan films. Okay, so that's kind of a whack. Citation. But again, what are you gonna do? Suffice to say, it's pretty well understood to be in the public domain. We have a little bit of plot here. I'll usually avoid reading about the plot too much because I don't want to get spoilers. Let's just skip that for now and go see what else we have here. Okay. Reception. This is what I like to read about. Upon the film's release, a New York Times reviewer wrote, Mr. Wayne and company have sacrificed the usual roaring action to fashion a leisurely Western. That doesn't sound that exciting to me. Which is different from and a notch or two superior to the normal Sagebrush saga. All right, it's a positive review saying the film is a little bit slower paced. Okay, not sure how it's going to work for a stream if we were going to do that, but it's whatever. Okay, so James Edward Grant, who wrote and directed the story, has included the gunfights, slugging, melees, and scenic pursuits necessary to fill out the yarn. But mainly he's portrayed the change in Kurt Evans. Who the hell spells Kurt that way? Kurt Evans, a feared triggerman of the frontier Southwest, who, when wounded, is not only nursed to health, but subtly won over by Penelope Worth and her Quaker philosophy. All right, so it's about a guy, I guess she's the angel, he's the bad man, and he becomes he goes from being a bad guy to being a good guy. That sounds like fun. Okay, he's torn by love and new faith and desire for revenge. Okay, that sounds like it could be interesting. There was a remake at some point by the Hallmark Channel. Okay, it sounds like it could be fun. John Wayne, can't go wrong with John Wayne, I guess. We haven't watched a Western yet. It's something to consider. What's the Bowery at Midnight? It's a horror film from 1942 starring Bela Lugosi. I don't want to read the plot. Bela Lugosi's godlike. Reception. The LA Times called it maybe the farthest fetched of the Bela Lugosi films, adding, but judging from the squeals of the youngsters who made up most of the audience in the afternoon, such tales can't simply be brought from too great a distance to please them. So I guess what they're saying is that it's pretty silly, right? But I guess some of the kids in the front row still thought it was cool. Well, we haven't really watched a proper Bela Lugosi film yet. Maybe it wouldn't be right to jump in right away and watch one of his later, cornier films. It's kind of a tough call, I feel like. That being said, I've heard bad reviews before of films that we watched based on a movie that ended up being godlike movies. So I think that some of these reviewers, especially back in the day, were a little bit hard to please. It only runs for an hour, though. How about Angel and the Bad Man? It runs for 100 minutes. A little bit more exciting for us to kind of get our teeth into, right? I'm not sure I want to watch an hour-long Bela Lugosi film from later in his career. Right? This is way after Dracula and stuff, where he's already established as like a horror icon. Yeah, like I said, this is a movie that comes up all the time for my pizza and a movie options. Maybe not this week. Conspiracy 1930. Okay, so let's see. It's the second adaptation of the play The Conspiracy. So it's based on a play. Again, it's from my attraction to this is it's so early, 1930. That could be really, really fun. I don't want to read the plot. Okay, the reception is that it lost $50,000 at the time. I'm sure that's a lot of money. It entered the public domain because they didn't renew its copyright in the 28th year. It's kind of like Angel and the Bad Man. So they screwed up with their copyright renewal. Okay. Well, that's not a whole lot to go on. So in this case, I might have a peek at the plot a little bit, just kind of get a feel of what's going on here. After their father is killed, brother and sister Margaret. So this is what? It's a mystery melodrama, first of all. That sounds exciting. Mystery melodrama. After their father is killed, brother and sister Margaret and Victor Holt devote themselves to bringing down the drug gang for his death. That sounds sick. Okay, I don't want to get any more spoilers, but that sounds sick. I'll keep that in mind. This is The Strange Love of Martha Ivers. It's kind of like maybe a romantic drama. We haven't watched many of those on stream. That could be fun. It's film noir drama. Okay, sounds like fun. Okay. Entered the public domain in the U.S. because the claimants did not renew the copyright in the 20th year. Okay, so they screwed up the copyright renewal again. Happens all the time. Don't want to read the plot if I can help it. Let's read about the awards and nominations. John Patrick received an Academy Award nomination for Best Writing. Oh, okay. That's cool. So we have 3 films here. We've got a sort of a film noir drama. It's kind of romantic. Got an award or nomination for Best Writing in a movie when it came out in 1946. That sounds like fun. Conspiracy 1930, even earlier. All we know about it is that it's some kind of mystery melodrama and that it lost money in the box office. And it sounds kind of exciting. That's a story about murder and revenge and stuff like that. That could be fun. I mean, it could be really dumb, but that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Pizza in a movie. Then Angel and the Bad Man. This is John Wayne, a Western, tale of redemption, I guess. Okay, well, what I will oftentimes do when I've done here is I have saved these 2 films to my favorites to come back to them at a later date. They both sound cool to me. I feel like maybe a romantic drama might be a little bit heavy for this week. I'm not really sure I'm feeling it, but I do want to maybe check this out later. I mean, it got an award for Best Writing. That sounds like it could be pretty cool. And Conspiracy, again, that just sounds kind of maybe a little bit corny, but kind of cool too, right? It's a mystery melodrama from the 1930s about some kids getting their father got killed, and they're going to try to take down a gang, the 2 of them. Like, what the heck? That could be awesome. But I think I'm going to look more into Angel and the Bad Man here. Watch some John Wayne. We'll start our first Western on the stream. That could be kind of a nice change of pace, I feel like. We've kind of covered some other classic film genres. Why not a Western? So the next step is to scour the internet to try to find the best looking version of this film. Right now, there are a few sites that I will oftentimes use to find high quality uploads of these classic films, the public domain films. And sometimes they won't give me anything good. It'll all be really terrible looking, low quality uploads from, 15 years ago, and no one's really, because they're not really, in very high demand, these public domain films, people will not have uploaded them recently with, now that we have modern bandwidth, right, and storage capacities. People at the, back in the day, as you guys remember, were really concerned with things like storage capacity and bandwidth, and they had to kind of really compress these films to resolutions and quality levels that really aren't acceptable, at least to me, for the stream. So sometimes I'll be looking around, I have to look for hours on end. I've been lucky tonight that Badman has given me a lot of really positive results right off the bat. But sometimes I have to actually Google search like Angel and the Badman download, right? And try and find, scour through all these areas like publicdomainmovie.net and other sorts of websites to try to find the best version. But usually, I almost always end up on archive.org, right? The actual Internet Archive, which is host to tons of public domain stuff, not just films, also music and old websites and all kinds of fun stuff. It's a really cool website if you're into like preservation. And let's just Google Angel, or search here, Angel and the Badman. Okay. We get a bunch of results. I'm going to search only for movies, though. I don't want any audio exclusive stuff or text stuff, just movies. Okay. So we have 13 results here, right? Here's the results that we have. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with archive.org, it's a site I use a lot lately, especially. Individuals upload files, just kind of like YouTube or, SoundCloud or wherever you want to do. They upload their files, and they describe them, and sometimes they even upload it in more than one, quality. But what you're seeing here is the same movie being uploaded by 13 different people. And so the quality of the uploads are going to vary. Some of them are going to be downloads, probably from this very site or sites like it, that have been recompressed and uploaded again in lower quality, but at a smaller, lower bit rate, make it more compressed, so it can be stored easier. So our challenge now, and this is on a good night like tonight, is to go through these 13 uploads and find the one that is subjectively the highest quality. Again, other nights I've had to search for hours to find even a decent-looking upload. But what I found tonight is that Badman is pretty straightforward. We got some pretty good stuff here. I'm not going to walk you guys through the entire process of that because it's a little bit tedious. But let's demonstrate how it would usually go. I'll open up, a couple of these, and I'll start playing it. I'll see how many different uploads this guy has for this. He has 2 different uploads for this particular file. If we scroll down here, we'll see what I'm talking about. Right. So here on archive.org, we see he has all these different uploads, right, in different formats. And the ones that are the most modern formats, are most easily streamable, they'll give you access to in this player up here for archive.org. So it's a good way to figure out what kind of quality we're working with here. Right. So one thing I'll oftentimes do is I'll go down here to the download options and see how large these files are. Okay, so that's a little less than half a gig. This one's a little more than half a gig. Okay, MPEG-2 is really outdated and it doesn't compress very well, so that's why MPEG-2 is always much, much larger. So don't even worry about that. OGG video, I don't fucking know OGG video. That's variable bitrate compression. It's sort of like an open source format. I'm mostly looking for MP4s, H.264s, and some other, sometimes you'll even find stuff that's even better, like AVIs or other very, very high quality, even pro grade video formats for some of our previous Pizza movies. But yeah, we're looking for this mostly. It's usually about half a gig, so keep that in mind as we look at our other options. And I'll just play the video a little bit. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to find a random scene that appears to have a lot of detail, particularly human faces and stuff, and human clothing. And you see these little thumbnails down here? I'll try to find a scene that looks like it has some human beings in it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start playing it, and then when I see the camera switch, cut to another angle, I will pause the film, and I will use that cut as my synchronization point where I can compare all the uploads and look at their quality side by side. Right? It sounds kind of weird. I'm going to demonstrate it real quick here. So I will kind of go through this for thumbnails. I'm going to say, I'll just drop it right here. All right, let's play this. And when it cuts to a really high detail scene, in my opinion, I'm going to pause it so we can get some feedback. Okay. All right. Right there. Okay, so we have a couple here, a couple people. They're in shadow. And my goal now is to go through all these uploads, come to this exact screenshot, and compare them side by side, have a look at the video quality. So what I'm looking for, if you guys are not video nerds, is one thing I look for is macro blocking, which is a demonstratable artifact of compression in video. So we're looking for like squares, things that are kind of unusual squares. You can see right on her eye here, for instance, she has these little tiny squares. That's really annoying. And it represents, again, them trying to compress and make the video smaller so they can upload it faster and easier, store it easier. But it's not ideal for quality. And furthermore, again, it's 2019 now. We have more storage space. We have more internet bandwidth. We don't got to fuck around with all these high compression formats. So that's fine. That's like my first example. Let's try this one over here. Okay, once again, let's check the quality options we have. Oh, it looks way better already. It only has one quality option. That looks way better. Let's go down here and look at our files. MPEG-4 1.3 gigs. So this MP4 over here is less than half that size. Yeah, 4.1 gigs. So it's actually, this one's 3 times bigger, which is great. All right, so let's let it rock. Find that same scene. So that was, where was that scene at? It's here at 5:11. Okay, but this one's different length, so it could have a longer intro sequence. So basically, not only are you going to find different upload qualities. Again, sometimes people will download something and then they'll re-upload it at a lower quality or whatever the case might be. But also you're going to find different rips. Sometimes these are ripped from different DVDs. Sometimes they're ripped from old VHS tapes somebody recorded on TV. Other times they're recorded right from a movie theater. Sometimes they're recorded off of an old film reel that was discovered. And then years later, they found another one that's in much higher quality. Right? So there is... you'd be surprised by how many interesting differences there are in these films. They might have different intro sequences. They might have different end credits. They might have... one thing that really frustrates me a lot when I do these late night comparisons is that they'll be cropped differently. Some films might be a little bit wider. Others might be a little bit taller. And what you'll find is that if you look at the side-by-side comparisons of different screenshots, that some films actually show more. Like, for instance, that movie we watched recently, The Terror, right? The one that I chose to watch was the one that was by far the best video quality. There was no comparison. It was one that I found after hours of searching, and it looked gorgeous compared to all the other ones that were all ass in comparison. But some of the lower quality ones actually had a wider shot. You could actually see more of the background environments and stuff. You could see, when they had a character getting a close-up, you could see more of their shirt, right? So somehow in this process of, cleaning up the film and stuff, they managed to lose some of the picture. That's frustrating, but I figured you guys wouldn't notice, and being my first time watching the film, it was no big deal. And again, it was a compromise, but those are compromises you got to keep in mind, right? Because you'd be surprised at how many ways it can vary. It's almost like, again, they were recorded off of a screen, somehow, or I don't know. We're gonna see some examples of that tonight. Anyway, let's find that same part, right? So this looks kind of like a similar scene here. Have I gone too far already? Here we go. Okay. Wow, it's so much better. Remember how hard her face was to see last time? Okay, here it is. Wait for it. And right there. Let's compare them side by side. Whoa. Whoa, right? Can you imagine if we had gone with this one? Just pick the first one we saw? Because it was in high quality or 720p or whatever. Whoa, right? What a major difference. So again, already we're much better off than I've been for pretty much 99% of our past Pizza in the Movie streams, right? The second one we found is actually very decent looking, right? I can still see a little bit of like blurring. So they try to soften the image a little bit to hide the compression, but you can see so much more detail. It's night and day, right? It's brighter, it's cleaner. Like, yes, I don't need to tell you guys, right? You can see that it's centered differently. See how they kind of... Oh, well, look, it's one of those ones, again, where we can actually see more on the right. See this? We can see this little detail right here on the right. If I go over here, it's cropped off. It's gone. So this is one of those situations I told you about where... And up here, too, on the top. There's a little more on the top, too. Well, okay. So this is, so far, looking great, right? It's looking great. So it's a pretty good option. And what I did before I started this recording was I opened up all of the 13 versions of it, and I've been comparing them, Right, I closed off some that were just didn't make any sense at all. But let's go through a little bit and look at these. So this one's looking mighty decent. This is the one that's like, what, 1.3? Oh, this one's actually only 4 gigs, or 400 megs. Wow. All right, so this one looks all right. This is the one that was the worst, right? This one, there's no way we're going to watch this. Let's get rid of it. Fuck it. Go away. This is the one I think that we were just looking at. Yeah, 1.3 gigs, MP4. All right. So how do these two compare? Okay, well, right away, this one is nicer colored, it would seem. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. It could be that it's over bright. So compare them carefully. Well, look at her sweater. Let's zoom in here on this a little bit. There's some pretty fine detail there. You can see like the little pores and the knitting and stuff. And if we compare that to this one, yeah, it's just you just lose so much. It's just blurred all to hell. Right, so not only is it darker, also you can see here it's got the same cropping. It might be the same rip as that other one we were looking at, just at higher quality. See how we actually have a little bit more on the top and the right here? So overall, this one's better. It's got better detail. It's got a little more on the, a little more picture. Let's get rid of this. How about this one? Whoa! That looks literally dirty. I'm not sure if it comes through on the stream, but wow. Okay, so again, I've got some experience doing this now, but what this really points out to me is that although it looks kind of weird, you can see more wrinkles, and you can see what appears to be a lot of film grain, but that's a good thing. Because again, especially early on when video compression was still very young and we're trying to compress videos further, film grain is a huge problem in films because it really screws up compression. So what you'll find is that a lot of these uploads will use artificial means to smooth out the film grain while sacrificing a little bit of detail to make it easier to upload. And here we see that, yeah, it looks a little bit airbrushed, right? A little bit, even maybe a little more romantic. But if you look at her jacket, right, her little sweater here, I'm going to zoom in here again. See her sweater here? All right, let's look at it very carefully. And I'm going to switch over to here to the other one with the film grain. Whoa! Look at all the detail on the sweater. You can see so many more of these little wrinkles and bumps and pores. It's night and day. And again, look at John Wayne's face. Right? You can actually see his stubble. You can see a little bit wrinkle in his brow there. Right? Like, wow, it's, again, night and day. Right? So we were happy with this one before, but now this one looks way better. Way, way, way better. Okay, so how big is this? It's actually even smaller, but it seems to be a much better compression job. So maybe this is going to be a good time to make sure that the animation looks all right. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This is the MP4 file here, 3.5 gigs. Actually twice as large as our previous winner, which is 1.3 gigs. Right? This one, wow, it's so much nicer. Look at his fingers. Like, you can see so much more detail. Wow, that's great. But again, you have the film grain effect, and yeah, in a screenshot, it looks kind of like literally dirty. But this is an old film, and you'd rather have that film grain there and have that detail than have the film grain all brushed away and also have the detail brushed away, right? So this is right now the winner. Looks glorious. Here's another one that's very dark. It's one of these ones that's kind of not centered correctly. Yeah, see, so it's kind of like all the same family. These ones that are kind of dark and they're not centered correctly, right? But again, this one's got nice detail compared to the other one we looked at. Maybe even a little more film grain than this one does. Sure. But yeah, this one's just not a winner, right? It's dark, it's got some of the picture cropped off, and it's nowhere near the quality of this one here, like in terms of the level of detail. So that's one's going to go away. Here's one that looks kind of like this one, right? It's kind of probably the same upload as this, to be honest. No, see, so it is the same, this is the same source file, but this is actually a lower quality. So I'm going to organize them now from worst to best, and you're going to see how the same file, the same video, essentially, has been uploaded multiple times in various levels of quality. So this is our one we just looked at, which is, I think, the worst quality. Right? Here's the one we looked at first of all. Okay, wow. So you look at that. Look at back to back. Right? Look at John Wayne's face. You see so much more detail in the little wrinkles under his eyes and stuff, and his jaw. Look at the sweater, right? So much more detail just pops in when I switch the tab. I'm not sure if it comes through on stream. Might have to, if you're watching on your phone, you guys see no difference, right? But much more detail. And here's our best one. This one's twice the size. Whoa, again, the sweater just really pops. You can see all these little details. You can see every little pore. That's great. Here's another one. Again, same upload right now. Yeah, these two are pretty much the same, maybe even the same file. Right? These two are the same level of quality. This one might be a little bit higher, but it's whatever. Get rid of these. Oh my god. Here's another one of the ones that is, it's just garbage. It's just absolute garbage. Right? It's, somebody uploaded it once upon a time. It might be from a previously discovered reel, until they found a better looking reel, so it might be damaged from time or whatever, but just look. Oh my lord. Again, it's just so dark and grainy. And what's interesting about this macro blocking, I mentioned before the macro blocking, where you see these little squares that appear, you see these little squares in geometric shapes. This is a result of the high compression. And what's crazy about macro blocking is that because these compression artifacts occur when two sharply contrasting colors are side by side, that's what makes this problem happen. The macro blocks themselves are literally evidential. They are, let's rephrase that. They're perpetrators of the same problem, right? So if I were to stream a highly compressed video, it would look twice as bad on your side because these blocks literally create situations where you have two pixels that are clashing side by side. We have vast differences in color, right? So for that reason, if I stream a low quality video, it's going to look absolutely terrible on your side. Or if I stream a high quality one, it'll look a little bit nicer. Yeah, that one sucks. And here's another one that's probably the same upload as this, right? Yeah, in fact, it might even be the same exact. Yeah, it's actually, yeah, probably the same upload as this, basically. Okay, so we have a clear winner, and not only that, but I'm pretty satisfied that I don't need to look any harder to find a better upload for our stream. I'm not going to go bother trying to search other websites right now, because this is 3.5 gigs of MP4 over 90 minutes. That's huge. It's a huge file, and you can just see it in the detail that that's why it's a huge file, right? It just looks gorgeous. You can see the film grain and everything. The details are all there. This is one that we're going to use. I hope the volume's okay. I'll figure that out later. I'm sure it'll be fine. This is the one we're going to use. I'm going to download it right now. But really, I just wanted to walk you guys through the behind-the-scenes process that I go through every time there's a pizza in a movie, right? And I want to, again, stress that I took out some of the footwork by getting these all to the right screenshot for you guys before I started the recording. And furthermore, on most of these pizza in movies, I have to go to multiple sites and I can compare the videos side by side in VLC is what I usually use, and not the player here on archive.org. I usually download a few and compare them side by side that way because I have to use different websites and different players and stuff. But anyway, it's a lot, but it's kind of interesting and exciting, right? Like going through these old public domain films and looking at all these uploads that people have put out over the course of years from different sources, different picture sizes, different things, different amounts of image on screen, different quality levels and lighting levels, and different levels of artificial enhancements, right? Some of these are like really over sharpened in some amateur videographers' attempt to improve upon it. Some of these again are overly smoothed out as they remove the film grain, right? You kind of get a feel for these compromises that people make as they upload these things, and you're trying to find the ones that have the least number of compromises. This is our one we're going to watch. It looks beautiful. It seems very high quality. It's a very large file. This is going to be, so again, this is Thursday morning here right now. It is 6:50 a.m. I am going to download this and call it a night here and probably do a little bit more stuff for some other aspects of the stream tonight. Go to bed maybe even a little bit early tonight. That is to say, I'll have about like 8 hours of sleep before I have to get up tomorrow and stream again. So that's going to be fun to do on Friday. Tomorrow's actually Thursday, or I guess today now is Thursday. So it's not pizza in a movie yet, but I'm going to have this kind of prepared for that. Thanks for hanging out, guys. I know it's not exactly super thrilling. It's not exactly gameplay. But for you guys that might be curious about the behind-the-scenes process and what happens behind the stream, this is one of those things. And I think it's one of the cooler things. I kind of want to share it for that reason. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow, or I guess today, whenever I get up. You guys know the deal. Until then, peace out.